in totality, what did you think about Skeleton Crew?
It felt so excellent in terms of a Star Wars story that you can feel like someone really wanted to tell, and I'm thankful for that.
There's some parts in this show where, you know, I thought it was going to be pretty childlike, but there's lower stakes moments, and then there's some moments where I went, oh man, they did that in this show.
I just had specific questions about the last shot of the show.
I feel like what Skeleton Crew does really well is not try to reference too many things.
I'm gonna be honest, like there are some of my new favorite characters in Star Wars that are in Skeleton Crew.
SM-33, goated droid.
I love him. Let's talk about Jod.
Jod is just such a intricate and deep and well-written character.
A lot of the stuff that he said when he was threatening the kids was a big fat bluff. Again and again and again, if he wanted to kill the kids and their parents, he absolutely would have. If I had the chance to have an Embo life-size figure.
What I see is the beginning.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast. Dude, I saw you did that out of the corner of my eye. I am Grayson, one of your hosts.
I am Cole, the other host. Grayson, today we're talking about Skeleton Crew, the last half of it, pretty much.
Yeah, literally the last 4 episodes, because we got a little bit behind for the holidays, but yeah, who doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So we're talking
we decided to consolidate all of our episodes together into one big Skeleton Crew finale.
The Bad
But
Batch.
not for the skeleton. Yeah, the Bad Batch. It's actually Bad Batch season 4. Congratulations, everybody. This is an insider Mortis FM. Tech is still alive.
Dude, he shows up in the finale.
He's back. I really hope that there wasn't anybody that was like, gee, I'm really glad I'm watching this Skeleton Crew episode and not any of the Bad Batch stuff because I don't want to be spoiled for it. And I just ruined their lives. Anyway, we're talking about Skeleton Crew, the last half of it.
Cole, you just watched the last 3 like today. You got a little bit behind.
Yeah, I did.
So, you thought you were 2 episodes behind, and then I get a message like literally as we're about to record, I get a message and he's like, I was actually behind 3 episodes, so like give me like another 40 minutes, you know?
I looked at the episodes today. I was like, good. I can't wait to watch the last 2 episodes. And I looked and just said, oh, it's 3. I'm 3 behind. Oh, great. Okay, good. I didn't even know when the last episode came out. I've had a lot going on, clearly.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So
yeah.
What? There's something before the episode like that you wanted to bring up. So, and I kind of just want to jump straight into that because I really want to know what it is. So, I guess, you know, before we give our spoiler-free reviews, we're gonna just jump straight into spoilers. So you've been warned. What is it? What is this thing that you are like? What is it? I don't know.
Okay, so I haven't been looking at any of the community talks about the show because I didn't want to get spoiled from anything.
Right.
And I just had specific questions about the last shot of the show. Which, you know, essentially just shows the moon, which looks very much like our own moon. And like in my brain, I was like, because everyone was making fun of this show for being teased as like, oh, it looks so much like Earth. And then I was like, wait, what? There's no way that they're trying to just underhanded, hey, Adams is Earth, by the way, LOL.
No.
And I know, it's stupid, right? But why would they make it so on the nose like that? Well,
I'll be honest, I didn't think a single second. I just thought it was a nice final establishing shot, you know, of just them looking up at. I wasn't even really fixated on the moon. I was just fixated on like, oh, he's looking back up in the galaxy, like he can see the stars now. Like he couldn't see that moon beforehand on Atten.
Yeah.
So I think it's more so of like looking up and being like, wow, we did this. We've kind of unlocked this larger part of the galaxy to and
yeah.
I don't think they're trying to say that it's the real Earth.
I know, but technically Star Wars exists, at least it's supposed to, within, and I know it's like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Right? But I remember that a lot of the complaints when Skeleton Crew was being announced was like, oh, everything looks so Earth-like. Why is it so suburbia? And then this last shot just pans up to see this moon that we've never seen before that looks very much like our own moon with the craters and everything. And I'm like, are they making fun of me right now? Or are they just trying to just vaguely show, hey, I wonder what this place is?
No.
And then just like wake. I don't know. It feels like radical enough that I could see it being done because technically Earth exists in the Star Wars universe. So I don't know. It just made me think, and like, I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist because I know how stupid it sounds, and I don't want this to be the case. And I know, like, I don't think it should be the case. But I was like, no. They wouldn't, right? And that's just, they're trying to make it look kind of funny. Like, oh, it kind of looks like Earth, doesn't it? You little stupid, you know?
I truly did not think anything like that at all.
Okay, so I'm just reaching.
That is not the direction I thought you were going at all. Yeah, I mean, I truly was just like, oh, it's just
yeah.
So in my mind, that shot was not saying anything of it being like, oh, you know, that's our moon or whatever. I think it's more just like, there's more adventures out there. Who knows? That's what I took it as.
I hope that Star Wars Explained said something about it. I really hope that it's not just me, because this is what happens when, like, I don't look at anything that the community says and it's just left to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that kind of looks like a lot like Earth, you know, because I'm making all the connections here. If Skeleton Crew wasn't so like on the nose suburbia, I wouldn't be thinking that.
Yeah.
But my brain can't help but connect it. I hope it's not the case, and I don't think it is the case, but it just feels too referential to me. To ignore at the very least, but it's okay that maybe I'm just seeing it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what Skeleton Crew does really well is not try to reference too many things. Like it does, like it'll make little teases and things, but like the entire episode, I was like, oh, is someone in this time period going to show up? You know, like when I saw. Like when I saw the B-Wings, I was like, is Hera gonna show up? Or when the New Republic gets called, I'm like, is Mando gonna show up? Because he's working for the New Republic now. And I'm so
glad.
Yeah, and I'm like
it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I mean, because I was fully expecting, not like I necessarily wanted it to happen, but I part of me as I was like, is the N1 gonna come flying in? You know, like, is that's what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And it didn't, and I'm happy. That's fine, you know.
Yeah,
I actually am. The one thing that I'm shocked about is that Hondo didn't show up in this show. I was pretty certain that he would show up in this show, but he didn't.
But we actually, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we got any. I mean, other than Vane, right?
Yeah.
That is his name, right? Vane?
Yeah, the Nikto dude that run in Mando season 3. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the only guy.
Yeah, and he's like, he's barely in the show. Like
he is so close to a club.
Yes.
That it's like the only difference is that he has lines and that he has been like a tertiary antagonist in a handful of situations.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like, of course, you know, we'll talk about maybe some contemporary news as well. It's like, even lesser so than this, but you know, the reports and the rumors that Imbo will be an antagonist in the Mando and Grogu movie.
I didn't hear about that. I'm sorry. I've been so out of the loop for the past like week or so because the new semester started back for me. A primary antagonist, you say? The rumor is that Imbo will be a bounty hunter trying to kill Rada, played by Jeremy Allen White, and that Mando is hired to protect
Rada. I'm assuming Rada will be at least adult age at this point, and or at least teenage, late teenager, you know.
Stinky.
And Stinky will be fully grown, and that Mando is going to be protecting Rada from Embo.
Dave would do that.
Dude.
Dave would do that. He loves Embo. I mean, I love Embo so much.
He's pretty great.
If I had the chance to have an Embo life-size figure,
he's just
standing on my table right here, I would do that.
He's pretty sick, dude.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because like in Clone Wars, he is a character he never really has a true, like, he's just a tried and true bounty hunter. Like, sometimes he is on the side of the character we are following in that episode, and then other times he is against them. Like, I think he chases Anakin and Padme towards the end during the whole banking.
Rush Clovis as well.
Yeah, which leads me into one little point about that. Before we actually go in, let's just talk about our general thoughts on the show. What did you think of, in totality, what did you think about Skeleton Crew? Like it, don't like it, really high on your list, middle of the road, bottom of the barrel? What do you think?
I thought that it was really solid.
Yeah.
Like I guess, like, I'll just say, like, I loved it. It's not my favorite thing ever, but it was really good. I was so glad that it didn't suffer from Heartbreak Hill that a lot of the other Star Wars shows have done, where it's really great and then the finale just kind of turns into like a small whoopee cushion squeak at the end.
What a way to describe that.
Yeah, I really pulled that one out of the cranium there.
Good show.
Yeah, I think I thought it was really, really nice. It was just, it felt so excellent in terms of a Star Wars story that you can feel like someone really wanted to tell. I found all of the characters to be brilliant. I loved following like just the story of the kids and Jod and 33. You know, I love all of them. And then also the world building, very, very cool. I also like how it wasn't particularly explained, the great work thing. It wasn't really told to us in totality about how that went along. But I think it was just I'll say it was short and sweet. But in the sense that, like, I don't know, I feel like it was just good, and I'm thankful for that. Short thoughts there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, it is not my favorite Star Wars project of all time, but that being said, I truly believe it is a sleeper hit. Like, I don't know what it is with Disney Plus and their Star Wars shows, but like, when I like in my opinion, I think Skeleton Crew is nothing but quality, like, the whole way through. And the only other show, not the only other show, but one of the only other shows, that being Andor, both of these shows were announced and people were just kind of like, who asked for this? You know, who is wanting this? Who wants a show about the character in that one movie where he dies, you know? And then the same thing of this is just like, okay, like, interesting concept, but like, there wasn't this fan demand of like, oh, we want a show that emulates E.T. and Goonies and Pirates of the Caribbean kind of vibes, you know? And yet, both of these shows, from characters to visual effects to pacing, all really just stand out as some of the best live action Star Wars television. Like,
agreed.
Like, I like the characters here. Like, I think it's such a good way for new fans, young fans to get introduced. Like, I 100% believe, without a shadow of a doubt, and I've seen a lot of mutuals online, especially with their kids, of like how much their kids love this show, right? And that's really important. But like, the best way I can describe it, it's kind of like a Pixar movie where it's like, you know, when you think about a Pixar movie, you're like, obviously this is an animated movie, right? It is going to appeal to children, but then you also think of the best of the Pixar movies, and it's like, these are also just phenomenal films for all ages. I mean, Incredibles, WALL-E, Up, like, the list goes on, you know? Skeleton Crew kind of feels like that, because there's some parts in this show where, I thought it was going to be pretty childlike, but the humor appeals to children and adults. But there is lower stakes moments, and then there's some moments where I went, oh man, they did that in this show. There has specifically Jod says some stuff where I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah,
you're not a good dude, pal.
That was something. It feels like it kind of feels like Avatar: The Last Airbender in the sense where like, oh my, like, these kids are gonna love this show, but I also love this show, and like I watched Avatar as a kid and I loved it then, and I love it even more so now. So yeah, the same Pixar type scenario where everybody can enjoy it. It's fun for the whole family, one would say. Yeah. And I think its excellence also has to do with the fact that it is not busy trying to reference something. A lot of Star Wars IPs recently, even though they've been kind of teetering away from it, but over the past few years, they've all been so busy with cameos and referencing oh hey, you remember this thing, and this character, and like Skeleton Crew does it in a great way where they reference things that big Star Wars fans are gonna go, oh, I remember hearing about that, or like, wait, how does this fit into the lore? I'm curious about this. I want to know more. But then I am just as sated because I am seeing like these new characters and these new locations and these new events, and I'm not busy with like thinking in my head, oh, I wonder when Luke Skywalker's gonna, I wonder when Mando's gonna show up.
Right.
Because I don't want them to show up. I love them, but it's like I want to be focused on this story right now.
Right, because if something like that happened, if Luke or Mando, and there was a part of me that I was like, will they show up?
Yeah.
It's say like Mando season 2 is one of my favorite seasons of Star Wars television, and that season is probably the biggest culprit of like having cameos. They fit the story, but sometimes they take away from like, well, in that season, they never felt like they took away from what was happening in the story. But like, there's other times where these cameos happen, and then you're so locked onto that character that you're forgetting. Like, it takes you away from the main characters of the show. And like, if that had happened, then immediately people in the audience are going to be like, well, I do not care about the kids any longer. Luke Skywalker, like, oh, Mando is blowing up everybody, right?
I 100% agree. I mean, like, you're right. In Mando season 2, they fit the story. And I love Mando season 2. But even though the cameos fit the story, it can't help I cannot help but wonder if that is because the story was written so that the cameos would fit the story. Right. You know what I mean? And so it kind of brings into the question of what made all of these characters so good in the first place. They were self-contained. They popped up out of nowhere into the Star Wars story, and they made a name for themselves in our hearts and minds. And so now we're getting the same chance with Andor and with Skeleton Crew, because now, like, there are, I'm gonna be honest, like, there are some of my new favorite characters in Star Wars that are in Skeleton Crew. Yeah. And so I'm very, very pleased that they were not busy with going, oh, and the Overseer is secretly like a voice modulation of Palpatine, you know, which, passed my mind very briefly just because of something that the Overseer had said. It was like, I've been watching your career with great interest, and I was like, Nani, and so there's been a couple moments like that you can tell that it's referencing itself to, it's being meta with the fans, but it's not like, oh, and Luke Skywalker's gonna come in and he's gonna take the whole spotlight and you're gonna forget all about the kids and stuff. Right. So yeah, thank you, Skeleton Crew, for telling your own story. Right. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is it's like it's its own story, that it has its stakes within its own story, but it's not like these. I personally have become such a big fan of stories in the Star Wars universe that aren't just that aren't directly affecting all of these other projects, like, and not that that's a problem. Like, I think that like in certain stories that works, like Ahsoka, at like Thrawn being a heavy part of that, like no problem with that. Ahsoka's a big character. There's going to be big consequences.
But when you have characters like this, it's like, I don't need, all of these, it to tee up all of these other things. Now down the line, would I love for like Wim to meet an actual Jedi? Yeah. Absolutely, I would love for him to meet Luke Skywalker, dude.
Me too.
Like, that would be so cool. Like, the one cameo that I thought might happen that would have been unexpected would have been, you wouldn't have seen her face and you wouldn't have even seen her body, but like, I thought there might have been a call from Leia. Like, I thought they might have done.
I was seeing that as well. I was like, maybe.
Yeah, but there wasn't a part of me where I was like, man, I really hope that happens, Like, I'm not sitting there at this point anymore, like, waiting for like, in a story like this, waiting for characters to show up. The same thing in Andor. There's some rumors that a character might show up. I'm not going to tell you, because it's rumored to be a pretty big spoiler. And, like, listen, if it happens, I'm not going to be mad, but I am not holding my breath that happens, because I don't think that is something that Tony Gilroy would do, and I think it would... I don't know if it would. I don't think it would.
I'm kind of curious now.
Do you want me to, like? Do you? People might need to jump ahead. Do you want me to tell you?
I kind of want to know. I mean, it's just a rumor, right?
It is just a rumor. I don't know. Like, I don't know how validity. All right, I'm gonna.
Well, is it a verifiable source? I'll say that.
I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Tell your editor to check his sources next time.
Yeah, I have to double check. So again, take this with the biggest grain of salt possible. Do not get your hopes up. I'm gonna say it in like 5 seconds. Jump ahead 10 seconds. We're not gonna talk about it too much. 3, 2, 1. Cal Kestis.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Because there's been a lot of rumors that this actor will appear in a live-action project, will make the jump, and the timeline would kind of fit. And I think, considering Andor every 3 episodes is going to jump ahead a year, I think.
Well, he did work a lot with Saw Gerrera, so especially like what we were told in between Survivor and Fallen Order. I could see it happening.
Yeah. And I don't think this character will be like in the entire show, but it might be a thing that like they may not even pull out the signature weapon. It just might be like he is, and there he goes.
Yeah. Like, I think it might be like his soft debut into live action, if that were the case. Which, if anyone were to play him in live action, yeah. Do I want it to happen? I'm not gonna say no, but
don't give me that.
Okay, don't give me one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Put it on the big screen. Okay, I don't want anything about that. I mean, given the apparently the what do I want to say here? Given how season 2 is supposedly, as you said, like a different year every episode, which I feel like is probably going to be a little different in terms of the storytelling style from season 1. I mean, I'm not sure how to feel about that. Like, not good or bad. I'm just like, I wonder how they're going to pull this off. Yeah. Given that kind of, I guess I'll say episodic type format, I could see it happening as like a brief tether. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, like he comes and he goes, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because I think the way Andor season 1, I don't remember how much time passes, but it's set around the same time as Rebel season 1. Give or take, it's set like 14 years after Revenge of the Sith. And so I think what they're going to do is every 3 episodes will be a full year. And so that way it will lead into Rogue One. That's what they're saying, at least, because Rogue One obviously is like right before A New Hope. So, and this other character, their last appearance was at the same time. I'm not gonna dwell on that, but it was a couple years prior, is all I'll say. So it's not implausible.
You and I will talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, so yes, if you did stay, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. I don't even remember where we were going with that.
Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. There was something before. Oh, it's right here on my list. We were talking about Imbo and then him chasing like the Clovis and all of them. The Banking Clan in episode 5.
The Banking Clan will sign your treaty.
You know what's funny is all of the guys, like the Muns or whatever, they're like in the bathing. I rewatched that episode before this because that was the one that wasn't as fresh on my mind. That one came out on Christmas Eve, which is just a great episode. And they're like the guards of the mud pits are like asking around, and they're like, I haven't seen anybody. Like, you know.
No, have you seen?
Yeah, that's exactly what they sound like.
I was happy to see them again. That was a neat little thing there.
Yeah. Hey, go Damas.
What?
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say it's just Plagueis.
He's like, I'm still alive.
Still alive.
He just quit being a Sith. He goes to those mud baths and he's just completely healed from his deformations.
Honestly, if I survived Palpatine's attack and I figured that out, and like I figured out how to save myself from death, I would do that too. I'd just go like, I'm done.
The jig is up, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do the Sith grand plan. This is my grand plan. I'm going to the spa. That's what I'm doing.
He hears that Palpatine gets thrown down to he gets killed, and he's just like, what a loser. He's just like,
I wouldn't have gotten thrown down his shaft.
And he's like, he's still alive 30 years later, and then he hears his voice throughout the galaxy, and he's like, damn it.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed again, and he's like, you know, just.
And Plagueis is just like, I bet he didn't even know how to do it right. I bet he looks like a potato or a vegetable or
this
something.
Sounds like an ongoing Robot Chicken skit that I would love to happen.
Seth Green, give us a call. We'll be right here. I'll happily voice a very off-tune Plagueis for that skit. I will do that.
Just a goofball. Yeah, no, it was
goofball Damask.
It's just after he comes back, he's just a totally different person. So I guess that kind of leads us into, episode 5, which is the first episode that we kind of have to talk about, although we can hop around all over the place. That might be between episode 5 and episode 7. Episode 5 might be my favorite episode of the show. So that's where they go after they go to the planet that's like at Akron, I believe. They go to Lanupa and they discover the vault, and that's when Jod gets the lightsaber. So I say it all the time, and I promise we're like in the coming weeks or months, we are going to do an episode talking all about this. But that episode specifically felt so much like a tabletop RPG to me, and it
100%.
was just pure adventure, like from the encounters to the creative, like. Okay,
the dungeon crawling traps,
and even like the beginning of the episode of like, Wim's dad getting the little thing to be able to send the message up.
Yeah.
He's like, there's like the droid comes up and he's like, I've detected a power surge at your terminal. He's like, I haven't detected a power surge. And he's just like, let me see your hands. And he's just like, he puts up one hand and he's like, let me see your other hand. And I could just see, like, and then he does the other hand and then puts
both
it, and he's
hands
like,
at the same time.
You're like, I can see my player being a jackass and doing that. You're just like,
100%.
The droid's just like, bro, come on now. But yeah, like them running into I'm blanking on his name, but the giant like squid guy in the baths,
Yeah.
And he just like, they think it's this big threat, and then they just befriend him, and he smashes the hole into the thing.
He just turns out to be a friend, and then Jod bartering with the clerk, just putting down more and more credits, and saying like, these are the elders, and like they're just children that are in so many rags.
Neil makes this noise when they're like walking away from their ship. He's like speaking to them in their like fake language, and he's like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah.
He sounds like Zoidberg. It's just and like SM-33 with the restraining bolt. where he's like he's like in the background and she's like rattling. Apparently that lady is in Better Call Saul, by the way. From what I understand.
I know I recognized her. Yeah, I know who this is.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I recognized how much visceral anger came with seeing that smile. I recognize it.
Oh,
now.
Really?
No shame to the actress. Brilliant. But the character that she plays in Better Call Saul fills me with so much anger.
Connor, if you're listening, I know you are rewatching Better Call Saul. You probably knew off the top of your head. Connor is a Beyond the Dune Sea. Go subscribe.
Lightsaber.
he is a huge Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul fan, but yeah, they're like walking through the facilities, and SM33, like she's like saying all of these things, and he's just like he's like muttering all of these things in the background, and just every time he's like and just like gets shot. It's just dude. SM33, goated droid, goated character. He is elite. Top tier.
He's so come here, baby.
Yeah. Dude, like, and I love, there's just so many great moments. So like, okay, early on in the show when he says like the I thing, and then he goes away and comes back and goes, I, and then like slides away. Or after episode 4, at the beginning of episode 5, at the end of episode 4 where he kind of goes crazy and starts attacking them. Then they reboot him, and then he's just like, oh no, that's the orders of my old captain. I'm good now. And they have him tied up by this rope, and they're like, SM33, like, help us get to the Skull Ridge Mountain. And he's just like, all right. And just immediately, like, the rope does nothing. Like, he could have left at any point, but he was just laying there the whole time.
We're just skipping ahead here, but what is Mortis FM if not just talking about random scenes in the episode? Yeah. When Jod takes over again, and like he's got his whole crew back, and they're talking about like the terms of being the captain, and then Fern says like I called on claimsies, and then I call claimsies on that, and Jod's like, that's not how that works, and then SM33 is just like, that's close enough. Whack it, just immediately whacks him in the head,
just
knocks him out cold.
Jod in the face, dude. Yeah, like there are some brutal they're funny, but some brutal action points in there, dude. I was pretty devastated in episode 7. Thankfully, he's okay. Which I figured he would be okay, because droids are just pretty much, unless they get fully disintegrated, like they're pretty much fine. But when Jod sneaks onto the ship as they're going down to Atten, and he just cuts off SM33's head, I was like, man, Jod is just, he is, dude, by the way, that lightsaber, I obviously, like, I don't need a lightsaber in every single one of my shows, but I think this one, especially finding it in this treasure vault, makes a lot of sense. But like,
it's a cool lightsaber.
It's really cool. It sounds really cool. Like it has a really cool like growl electric sound.
It kind of has like the Marok sound.
Yeah,
with its lightsaber.
It's like a light side Marok almost. But I don't know if you felt this way or if you picked up on this. Of course, I am the lightsaber nut. But when Wim picks up the lightsaber to go up, when Jod when he's decides to turn on the kids because he finds out that it's an Old Republic mint, and Wim gets the lightsaber, as soon as I saw him pick it up, it wasn't a thing of like me waiting to be like, oh my gosh. As soon as I saw it, I saw the cover tech wheel that puts on the clip was at the top, and I was like, he's got it upside down. And of course I was like, dude, it's got it upside down. Like, are you kidding me?
I didn't notice that, but then like when he grabs it in like the last episode, I was checking to make sure that it wasn't upside down. Yeah. And I was kind of hoping that Jod, because like he was holding it like this, and so I was kind of hoping that Jod was gonna go, it's upside down,
that would be funny.
Because like you know what? Let's talk about Jod.
Yes.
Why don't you give me just your overall thoughts here on the character and the turn, and like what do you think?
Jude Law is insanely good in this role.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
I don't want to say like he's not carrying, because it's not like anybody's is like slacking, but like he is putting in work into this role. And Jod is just such a intricate and deep and well-written character to me. Like he's not black and white. He's not, oh, I'm not a Jedi that escaped Order 66. You know, we get the teases in the final episode that he was someone that a Jedi on the run found and trained him for a little bit before they killed his master in front of his eyes. But he's still got a little bit of that Jedi training in there, but like
he's kind of a Boken Jedi.
Yeah, in a way, but at the same time, like the greed, like it overweighs him. Like that turn at the end of episode 5, I was like, no way, dude. And there was a part of me that as it was going on, I was like, eventually he's going to stick up for the kids, right? But he never does. He just, especially when he offs Brutus, dude, which was just cold.
That, I mean, like that was already, I think, after no, I think that was like the big point where I was like, dude, he's not gonna turn around. I don't think that's happening. Yeah, dude, he's really, really great.
Yeah,
I think what I had said last time was that he felt like kind of if Han Solo started to teeter on the other end as opposed to going towards like the light side of things. I feel like that still kind of rings true to me. Because of how his character is. There are some interesting things here. Do I think that he is 100% evil? I do not. I think that even after like everything that he did in the show, and he really messed up near the end there. Like he was messing up hard. You could tell that there was still that thing just tugging at him.
There's a specific moment. It's a beautiful shot when he's watching when the shield goes away, and then at the very end when you can see the sky and like they've won, he has this slight smirk on his face. Like even though it didn't go his way, there's somehow a little bit of pride, you know?
Yeah, well, okay, so he smirked after he looked to like the corner of the room. So he looks to the side and then he smirks, and whether he's smirking because of his own thoughts or if he's smirking because he saw something, because that's the last time that we see him.
Yep.
So
he does not die. Maybe
he saw the lightsaber. Maybe he saw like another thing that he could do in order to get past the barrier and escape. I have no idea. I don't think it's the last time we've seen of him.
No.
I will say though, I think, even though it's really, really hard to say, a lot of the stuff that he said when he was threatening the kids was a big fat bluff.
Oh, really?
I think that in his core, he was bluffing so hard. Like, maybe if he was pushed to the absolute brink, he might have cracked. But again and again and again, if he wanted to kill the kids and their parents, he absolutely would have.
Oh, so you mean in the final episode, those bluffs?
Yeah, he had every opportunity to kill them. When KB went down in the ship, he looked like he was about to cry.
He's just like, it didn't have to be this way.
And then he said, it didn't have to be this way. Like, it seemed like he did not want that to happen. Was he annoyed with the kids? Absolutely. He was very, very frustrated. But it's kind of like what he said about the galaxy, was that the galaxy was dark and then there's little pinpricks of light. I think he's probably the same way. There's a little bit in there that he keeps, you know, as I said, Han Soloism, where he keeps fighting that.
Yeah.
He keeps fighting his kind of true nature, you know? And so, oh man, that really beautiful moment when the X-Wings come in and then Wim, Fern, and their parents like run to the elevator, and then Wim turns around and says like, Jod, you know, because it's time to go, and like Jod just kind of looks at him, and then Fern stops Wim, and then the door closes.
Yep.
Like, you know, there's something there. I don't know, man. I think like Jod as a character is just really, really interesting, and I'm so glad that he didn't have just a straight up redemption arc in this season, at least, because I think we've seen that a lot, and I really liked seeing. I mean, I was disappointed in him, but I loved seeing him continuing to make the wrong mistake and going towards what he thought was right. Because it just shows kind of the complexity of the character.
Because there was many points in the show, especially in those mid episodes, of course, when they're more with him, more often where when he saves them on Akron, you know, like, or when he's trying to console Wim in a very roguelike Jedi way. When he says your focus determines your reality, but he's just like, your mom, your dad, forget about them, you know? Those are attachments, you know, like, and you don't need those. Yeah. And it's in a very, like, yes, he's like obviously picked up on Jedi lessons, but he's kind of twisted and formed them in his way of this pirate life. And what it reminds me of is obviously Skeleton Crew is a lot like Treasure Island, I'm sure, like, which is a big influence. Like, shout out to, if people ever, I mean, if you want the best way to watch Treasure Island, go watch Treasure Planet. Goated movie. Did you ever watch Treasure Planet?
I have not. It's something I need to do. Yeah.
Oh my! It's like only an hour and a half. It's on Disney Plus. One of my favorite. It's like early 2000s. It is prime Disney, dude.
Well, it's the guy with the cool haircut, right?
Yes. And it's just a retelling of Treasure Island, but it's in this like neo sci-fi world. Like, he's got like a surfboard, and like they're on this giant like crescent moon planet, and the ships are like pirate ships, but they float out in space, you know?
I gotta watch this movie, man.
It's like an hour and a half, and it makes me cry. Like, it's that good. It's just
I gotta watch this movie.
It's really good.
It's been on my list for a long time. I just haven't gotten around to it.
If you get a free evening, watch it. But Skeleton Crew emulates a lot of that, obviously, with its Star Wars nature. And I'm blanking on the pirate's name that is in Treasure Island, but there is a pirate that is, you know, it's kind of similar to like early Hondo Ohnaka, where like there's like, they're not straight evil, but they're in it for the money a lot of the times, you know, like push comes to shove, and it's just like, but they don't want to have to do these evil things. They're just kind of like, sorry, you know, even when he makes the turn, he just looks at Fern, he's just like, just yield. I don't want, like, we don't have to do this, you know, just yield, and I won't have to kill you, you know? And again, like, I don't think he ever was going to kill her. He doesn't, I think he was talking a lot of trash, like just to scare him. Yeah.
And because clearly, like, when he finally gets to that point where he should be, you know, at least according to his plan, he should be doing something. Like, he should be killing them. He doesn't.
Yep.
The shield comes down, doesn't kill him. He's like, oh, like, he just kind of seems, dude, I if I were him, I would be so tired. Like, you can tell how stressed out he is for constantly bartering for his life. It's like, what was it, episode 4, episode 5, when they're on at Akron, or like that other planet, and those guys come up with all their guns and stuff, and he's just like, just shoot me now. You know?
Yeah, dude. Jude Law is just great. I love him, and I think he had a great time in this role. I think there's a lot of complexity here, and I want to see more of him. I want to see more of these characters. Like, my headcanon, no matter what, the Onyx Cinder was at the Battle of Exegol. It happened. It was there. They were there.
All right, let's talk about this, actually. The emergency, like, hull demolition thing,
dude,
where the ship is kind of like a snake skin, essentially.
Yes.
That's so cool. I mean, like, really, really creative. Because I was catching up on these 3 last episodes, and I was trying to do a lot of things tonight, so I kind of had it on in the background.
Yeah.
And when they had escaped, Wim was like, claims he's on the new ship, and I saw them flying away, and I was like, huh? Like, when did they get a new ship? Because they said that they were grabbing the Onyx Cinder, and I knew that was what was happening. But then I was like, that does not look like the Onyx Cinder. Like, and so I had to go back, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, I mean, Onyx Cinder just kind of, I mean, it was already really cool, but it went
Now
up several tiers in the ship list.
Dude, it's super sleek. And I also love that like the cockpit is still kind of on the side of it, almost like a scope in a way.
Yeah,
really
yes, cool. 100%. Oh, it looks really, really great. There was a lot of just inventive, creative stuff here in Skeleton Crew. I mean, SM-33 as a droid, integrating kind of the whole pirate aesthetic into Star Wars, not just like the pirate idea. And then also the snakeskin ship. We've got the barrier. We have what's her name, like Kryn or something, the owl astrologist space lady.
Kim,
yeah. There's a lot of cool things here. So I'm very appreciative of Skeleton Crew for that, because I love it when Star Wars feels new. Because it reminds me of how it felt when I was a kid, of when everything was just so, oh, that's so cool, that's so fresh, you know. It kind of brings back that whimsy to me. So as far as like full marks on that one for the show.
Yeah, one thing that also like and I think because they had a lot of time in the oven to, you know, work on the special effects and everything, but I just realized that's not even intentional. That's a thing that Connor and Seth say on their show. They're always like that. They say that like they talk about pizza rolls and then like did they put them in the toaster? Did they put them in the oven? Did they put them in the air fryer? Or are they like gourmet? You know, it just turned into this whole thing. And I just realized I subconsciously did that. But like they had more time in the oven, and it really paid off, because like truly there was no bad special effects in this shit. Like there was never a point where I was like, that looks bad. Like genuinely the entire show was like movie quality of CG.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, that show looked really good. Oh, this is one thing I want to bring up. The episode, it was maybe episode 6, like Zero Friends Left or something like that.
Zero Friends again,
Yeah, I just want to kind of bring this up because I haven't seen anything on the community, because as I said, I haven't been looking for spoilers, but my new favorite among the kids is KB now. Because I think that her story with Wim in that episode, because I think it was definitely like the KB Wim, mostly KB episode, it was really an allegory for disabilities and chronic illnesses. And I felt, as someone that lives with a chronic illness, I felt very seen as a person, because KB, you know, she was like her thing was like, I cannot keep up with Fern all the time, and like she always expects me, or at least I feel like she expects me to keep up with her, and I can't do everything. I can't like run across a frozen planet and climb this cliffside and run for my life, and because ever since the accident I can't do that sort of thing. And I think it was just, I think that was a really great moment for people who have felt like that, because that was actually the one moment in the show where I did cry, because it was very sweet, because when she reunites with Fern, like Fern apologizes, of course, but then KB is like, it's like, I'm sorry too, you know, like I didn't want to tell you, right? Because as she says, as she tells Wim, like, if I tell her, like, I'll have zero friends again.
Yeah,
you know,
and he's so quick to be like, he's like, that's not true, because me and Neil will be your friends, you know. And she just kind of looks up and just has like this, and of course there was no chance that Fern wasn't going to be her friend, you know. But then,
of course.
But she gets past that roadblock of thinking like, oh, only Fern can be my friend, you know, like I've made new friends now.
Yeah, because it's just a very isolating thing.
Yeah,
to experience that,
and especially when she calls Wim, she's just like, "Thanks, Jedi." You know, just like I'm like,
you know, he loved that. He was like, "Jedi, huh? Well, I might be called one of the."
It's so nice that she said that, because it's again that lesson that being a Jedi is not all about fighting. You know, it's wars. Not make one great, you know, like 100%. You know, like it's throwing down your lightsaber and choosing not to fight, or like that was something that Qui-Gon was so good at, was being the Jedi that would just sit down and just be amongst the people, the individual people.
Yeah.
And so of course they don't know all of these Jedi things, but like it's still like that's her way of complimenting, and just it's also just a very creative solution of how they did that. But it's really good, man.
I really want Wim to become a Jedi now. Like,
man, I know.
Imagine if like he ends up being kind of like Ezra's Padawan in the future, because like I know that we had said like maybe Jason, right? Like that would be great. But I could also see him being Ezra's Padawan. Because again, once again, we are left with the finale of a show, a la Bad Batch, with this feeling of, I feel like they could be building like this future Jedi Order here.
Dude, please.
Because there's so many options, right? And I think that would be great.
You know who I would love to see as Wim's master down the road? Because especially we've gotten to this point where, it doesn't really matter what age you are to be trained. They've kind of gotten past that.
Yeah.
Sabine would be pretty epic. Like if she gets to the point where she gets to this master, like him to be like, you're a Mandalorian Jedi, and that being his master, like,
yeah.
But I mean, maybe that's a little too like interconnected, but still, like, I'd really love that, It's
the screen quickly fades and says like, Wim was killed by the lightning strike that Snoke did on Luke's Jedi Temple.
Oh no, dude! Oh my gosh, I can't listen. That's always my my constant fear is like, okay, there's these people that I want in this Jedi Order. Do they all die? Is that gonna happen? Because like the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, there's a handful of Jedi and they don't die immediately. Like they die later on. But I'm like, where are all these other characters? Why are they not with Luke?
I really hope that a Clone Wars scenario happens where it's not a retcon, but new information is added that makes it like, oh wait, this is good. Like what if I don't know, like what if Luke does something where he actually manages to hide the rest of the Order, and then he just gives up on his own. He's like, maybe he saves the rest of them and then he himself gives up, right?
And then it's Rey having to find those people,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying. It's possible. Yeah. It's possible.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope that they're, not that I need every character to be Force sensitive, but I would really love for Wim especially to have that,
Yeah. I agree. Like, I don't need every character to be Force sensitive, but like, the thing about being a Jedi is just it revolves around Wim's character so much. And that like with him looking at the New Republic ships, like he's gonna go. He's not staying. No way is he staying.
So that's a big thing is now the meta shift of At-Aten and what that means for not only the people of At-Aten but the New Republic, because now so let's talk about the supervisor and the last message they received. So we get the reveal that the supervisor is a droid. It is this big supercomputer droid, which was not a big surprise to me. I kind of had a feeling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it was a surprise to the parents either. It seemed like I'm blanking on her name. Farah is her name, maybe Fern's mother. That she seemed like she knew about it. And like maybe she was one of the only people that knew. I don't know if Wim's dad knew or not, but Jod certainly doesn't know. And then they say that the last message that they got from the Republic was that the Jedi were traitors, and that's the last thing that they heard. So it's like it almost was like as soon as the Empire came into fruition, At-Aten was forgotten about. Yeah,
and that did make me wonder, like, was that Palpatine that wiped that, and would he have known about AT-ATN? I mean, I'm not sure. One thing that I did notice though, it was kind of funny. I knew that the Overseer was on to Jod as soon as I noticed that its color of eye changed as soon as it looked over at Jod. Every time it looked over at Jod, its eye would turn red, but then when it looked at Farah and Fern, its eye was blue. Oh,
I had no idea. I didn't even pick up on that.
I was like, it's not. It sees him as an enemy for sure.
Yeah.
He's like Undersecretary Farah or something. My favorite assistants or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like she had met with the supervisor before, but it still feels like AT-ATN is even though they got that message from the Republic, it seems like they had been, kind of intentionally sheltered as like a reserve, and people of the actual Republic didn't even know, because Tak Renna, the captain that found AT-ATN, it seems like that was a pretty long time ago. Like, it seems like that would have been like, maybe a couple hundred years, like High Republic era-ish,
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was like, oh, that was only 10 years ago,
I will say, and like this is probably like I'm probably reaching here. Mm-hmm. But the security droids on AT-ATN, their colors are white and orange, which are the same colors as the Republic and the Republic military in the old Republic era. So I am really hoping that it is the old Republic.
Right.
Because I just want it to be, because I want more Old Republic stuff in there. You can't keep saying Old Republic and then it not being the Old Republic. Stop letting me down.
It's confusing, because it's like, okay, we mentioned this in one of the earlier episodes of like, is it the Old Republic as in the era that we know from the video games, or is it what Obi-Wan says of like, for 1,000 generations the Jedi Knights were guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic? Is he talking about like the Old Republic in the Clone Wars? Like, I don't know.
Because now it's called the New Republic, and so it's like, oh, are we talking about the New Republic or the Republic or the High Republic or the Old Republic? So it's like, wait, hold on, is the Palpatine Republic like the Republic, or is it the Old Republic, or is it the older Republic, or is it maybe just the contemporary Republic? But
my impression is that, so the High Republic, even though it is an era, it is still just the Republic. Like, there is nothing. But like, I guess at some point in the Old Republic, the main Republic was formed, and it existed for thousands of years until the Empire came along.
And so then in The Force Awakens, it's the No Republic.
Yeah, No Republic. Yeah. They just get obliterated. So I don't know. I mean, and I think eventually we will find out. But of course, for the story at hand, it's not particularly prevalent.
Yeah, I'm just that guy that wants all the answers, and well, what are you gonna do? I will say, go ahead.
I was just saying, I really hope it gets renewed for season 2.
Oh yeah, me too. Or at the very least, have a continuation of the story somehow later on. I will say though that like, Captain Renan's weaponry feels pretty old. I mean, like, it didn't even look like he had like vibroblades. It just looked like regular knives. And if that's the case, like, that's old, buddy. I mean, like, unless you're very understaffed or under-equipped, I would say.
Yeah.
But then again, like, I don't know, like, given the look of that lightsaber, can't really say.
The lightsaber looks almost like, it looks very High Republic to me. But it also has a cover tech wheel, and a lot of the High Republic lightsabers don't have the wheels or the rings. I don't know. I would be intrigued to know.
It works no problem.
Yeah, it wasn't faulty. It wasn't like in granted, I guess there was a cataclysmic event, but it wasn't like on Malachor with Ezra's, like the one that he picks up. Yeah,
it made me wonder, like, if kyber crystals or lightsaber machinery degrades over time, or if it has to be destroyed by something. Yeah, like that was my exact thought process before you had mentioned that. So again, like we're just bringing up pretty much redundant or unnecessary questions, but it's what we do.
Yeah, it is what we do. I just really hope, like, I don't know what the viewership was. Like, they've recently come out, Disney has come out and said that the reason Acolyte was not renewed is just because they didn't get enough views. And like, if that's true, that's fine. I just hope that it's Skeleton Crew is different, that like they got enough of viewership from that, because like genuinely it's just really good, and I just want more. I want more original stuff like this. Like whatever your thoughts are on this show or Andor or Acolyte, I think those three projects stand as some of the most original content that we've gotten in Star Wars in live action in a long time.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I'm gonna echo what you said. I just enjoy that I enjoy that whimsy that it brings me of when something in Star Wars is new, or when new things are introduced. And all of those shows, whether it was just a genre shift or characters or a format or whatever it may be, all of them felt, they didn't feel like not Star Wars, but they felt new, to where I was like, this is new Star Wars that's not just repeating or echoing or including things that we've already seen before,
Exactly. I mean, if I wanted to watch the same thing, I would be watching the old movies. Mm-hmm. I do that with Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, for what it's worth, all the time. I like the whimsy, I like the new stuff, because I love all of these characters. I really do. I love Grievous so much. I don't know if you noticed, but like, there is I would not love Grievous if I was never introduced to Grievous in the first place, if that makes sense. Like, you gotta give me new stuff. You gotta give us new stuff, because it's going to get boring. It is going to get boring. I can't keep watching the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Because then it's like there is a reason why the MCU worked. There's a reason why like the Avengers movies worked. It's because all of those heroes had their own individual movies, that they built them as characters. They were introduced to modern audiences, and then in the first Avengers movie, and like, subsequently Infinity War and Endgame, it was earned, right? I think that is probably that's what they need to understand. Yeah. You don't love the characters because they're just shoehorned into somewhere. You love them because they were something that you didn't know that you wanted. Right.
Iron Man was a B list in terms of the public eye, was a B list superhero. Now, as someone like me who I was into comic books, like I knew who Iron Man was, and now Iron Man is like in the upper echelon of superheroes in the world because of those movies. So yeah, I agree. Like if you're comparing, it's funny because Jon Favreau worked on both, and John Watts worked on both Spider-Man and this, that like they like The Mandalorian, those early seasons, that was a character that they could have just made a Boba Fett show. Would I have watched it? Yes, they did make a Boba Fett show later on. But they, they could have done that, but they decided, hey, we're going to tell a story about a new Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's The Mandalorian. That's all it is. And we were like, sick. Like, that's cool. I'm cool with the new Mandalorian. And now Mando is in my top 5 characters, and I will never get tired of seeing new tales of Mando as long as they are of quality. And now
he's a cameo character.
Yeah, now he in and of himself is a character that we're waiting to see if he will show up in another project. Whatever your opinions are on that, like, it shows how popular of a character he is. He's getting his own movie now. So like with these Star Wars has this magic to it where a character will be introduced, and very quickly, like, it can be a brand new character and very quickly they can become very beloved. And Skeleton Crew characters are very much like that. And so I think it's going to be like the best, if you're going to bring in new characters and tell new stories, that's awesome. If you want to bring it, like, tell stories about old characters, don't make it the same stories over and over, you know, like,
Yeah.
dude, you know how badly, like, okay, why Clone Wars works so well, for example. A lot of characters you know and love, supported by new characters. At the time, Ahsoka and Rex, and then Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress, like, all of these characters are included in there. And it is telling drastically different stories, like, that we have never seen before. It is not doing just Attack of the Clones or the Phantom Menace again and again and again, you know? And there's homages, there's references to things, but they're never just, they always felt, for the most part, very new and fresh. And I think that's what really works
100%.
for Star Wars. So, you know, apparently 2 animated shows are in development right now. Give me a Luke Skywalker animated show about his Jedi Academy where he's collecting artifacts, and make it all new and make it feel like Indiana Jones and all kinds of different things. Like, make it fun and sick and give it to me. I literally...
2 animated shows, you say?
That's what they say. That is the reports. What do you want? What do you want the other one to be?
Clone Rebellion with Echo and Rex. I want to know what happened. I want to see some Cody and Wolf. Give me some of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I already forgot that. Like, yeah, that story is not wrapped up yet. Like, we need to have more of that story.
I want to show me that Scorch survived. Scorch. Everybody hashtag Scorch lives.
Scorch lives.
He's still alive. Isn't it funny that as soon as I said, "Oh yeah, I think Scorch is my new favorite," he just gets kicked. Oh,
they said, just like they took him out back and shot him.
I know. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. Disrespect to the family dog. My dog, Scorch. Yeah, I think that. Anyway.
Speaking of Commandos, I don't know if in episode 5, which was a couple weeks back when you watched it, there's a little Republic Commando homage in there.
What? Did I miss? Oh, was it the was it the sound effect?
Yes,
and it's like
was.
Yeah, it's like the kind of like
Wow, that was really good. Yeah,
honestly, that was really good. I kind of scared myself with that.
You know why it stuck out to me so much is because you've used that in some sound mixing stuff before.
Yeah, I love that sound so much.
And I was like, and it has to be because David Collins worked on Republic Commando. He is one of the main sound guys.
I'm sorry, I scared myself with how good that sound effect was. People are gonna think I'm. No, it was a one-trick wonder. Like that's the only time maybe I shouldn't even do it anymore. People are gonna think it's like that violin guy where like he made a pact with the devil and that's why he was so good at it.
Yeah. I should, at the very end of the episode, I should clip that right there and put it in and put it next to the actual sound effects just to see how good it sounds, you know?
Imagine it actually proved that it was actually very bad in relation to the real sound effect.
You hear it next to each other, you're like, man, that's actually pretty terrible.
Man, that's pretty bad. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have these are some gifts.
Okay.
Pre-cyborg Grievous.
Pretty sick.
And also Cyborg holographic General Grievous. Toys R Us.
Those are exclusive.
Thank you to thank you to our good friends Connor and Seth from Beyond the Dune Sea.
I think, didn't Tony give you the Grievous one?
It was Tony gave me this one.
Which one?
Unleashed. Star Wars.
Did he not send you the holographic Grievous one as well? I thought he said that one.
He might have. I might have a bad memory, but I know at the very least the Connor and Seth sent me this one.
Do you have the Revan one as well?
I do have. Yep, he's over here. I had to separate him from the Grievi.
Yeah, I was about to say the Grievous crew.
Yeah. This is my son.
Dude. So sick.
He's very good, but he's very dangerous. Don't touch him.
He don't bite.
He do.
I love how we were like talking about something. You're like, let me show you these toys.
Look. I pointed them out earlier. I had to show somebody. I haven't talked about them.
They're pretty sick. Yeah, the Grievous one I remember I saw at a convention way pricier, and then Connor.
Yeah. That was Tony. They gave me the Revan and Grievous. Yeah. I think my mind was messing with
the Revan was actually from me. They just bought it. I sent them the money for it.
Okay. Yeah.
So then the Grievous one they were both the same price because I was like, I can't get both, and they were like, well, like Connor was like, I'll get the Grievous one. So because dude, the pre-cyborg Grievous with the Kalish like mask,
I know
dude.
it even has like the good art for it.
Yeah, dude. It's so good.
Show something else that you don't see every day. This is the Revenge of the Sith cup with Grievous on it.
Dude, that's so good.
I want to say that I got this from either McDonald's or Burger King when they were coming out. I was wrong. It's not McDonald's, but it was just a collector's cup. They just had like this run. I think there's Obi-Wan and weirdly Commander Thyre as well, or just like a regular clone.
Yes, the most prominent clone in the movies.
But McDonald's did do a run for Shrek where they released similar cups that had prints on them. And I think that there was, I remember when I was a kid, I remember hearing about a recall about those cups that you couldn't drink from them because of the toxins from the print.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll go pick it up real quick. I do have one Star Wars McDonald's toy. It is the only official merchandise we have ever seen of Clone Wars style Luke. This was when Clone Wars was coming out.
Oh man, I forgot about those.
I've got a couple. I've got an AT-AT. I want to say I have Leia on the Tantive 4. But yeah, dude, look at Giga Chad Luke, bro. That you could make a show about this guy. Look, he can look just like this.
You want to give us good Luke content, guys? Just do a Clone Wars show with Luke, like a Clone Wars type show with Luke in it. Come on.
Dude, give me Luke training young Ben, going around with Lor Santeca, finding old temples.
Money maker.
Dude.
Money maker.
Mark Hamill can still voice Luke. Like, all you have to do is pitch his voice to make it younger, or you could go older Luke, and that would be fine too.
Give us the Matt Lanter treatment, where like we just get another guy that just voices Luke fantastically. Anyway, Skeleton Crew was great.
It was really good. It was really good. I'm looking at my notes to see if there's anything else to bring up. I don't think I have anything.
Make Solo 2 happen.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You want to do the chat pack?
Yeah, totally forgot about that. We've been kind of doing a chat pack for like the past maybe 20 minutes, I would say.
Oh yeah, dude, it's fine. Hey, we got more stuff to talk about. Give me a number between 2 and 124.
That is really specific.
Listen, that's the numbers that I have at the beginning and the end.
Let's go for 35.
Okay. Let me make sure I have 35 because there's a chance we could have done some of these already. Yeah, we've already done 35. We've actually,
come on,
between 34 and 41, we've already done all of those. So, give me another one.
17. Fun fact: if someone tells you to pick a number between 1 and 20, there's a big chance that it's going to be 17. Just keep that in mind for the future, audience. For some reason, everybody wants to say 17. Don't know why.
Okay. That's good to know.
It's just a personal observation that I've made.
Statistics with Cole.
Usually I win because I say 17 and they're like, oh, you got it. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Dude, we've done it again. You've done it again, Cole.
What?
Yet another perfect moment to cap out our episode. Not with the Skeleton Crew, but with what we've been talking about for the past 10 minutes.
Okay.
Chat pack number 17. What is your favorite Luke Skywalker moment?
Wow. Wow. Oh.
I'm not going to limit you to choosing one because we're going to talk about a lot, but then I'll probably decide what my favorite is. I've got two that come to mind right, or three that come to mind.
Yeah, I've got a couple. There's one of them that's like a gut instinct that I'm like, I gotta say that one. You know.
Why don't you give me one and then I'll say one and we can cross reference.
Okay. Well, I think for me, at the very least, my gut reaction is to say, when Luke tosses his saber to the side and says, you failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi like my father before me. That is like top tier. That is S tier Luke moment.
Yes.
Hey guys, if you want to see a Luke moment tier list, we can do that.
We just watch every single scene with Luke Skywalker and we're like a tier list. That's crazy.
S tier is when he's just like, I'll be careful. For no reason.
S tier is when Han is just like, what do you think a princess like her and a guy like, no.
Yeah, it's such a great moment. Yeah, so definitely when he tosses the lightsaber, that's got to be like my gut reaction.
That was in my immediate three. I genuinely think on an objective level, that is the Luke Skywalker moment, you know?
Yeah. I think I have a feeling what you might say next.
Just had a siren pass by my house. That's very rare. So I have one that like everyone is gonna say, and I'm not gonna say it right now because it's kind of a no-brainer. But I'm gonna throw there was one. I know what I'm gonna say. The scene in Battlefront 2.
I knew it.
Was that it?
I knew you were gonna say that. I was
Really?
like, yeah. I was like, I think I know what you're gonna say, and I knew it. I knew it.
Wow, that I thought you were gonna guess another one that I was gonna say, but yes, that moment.
It's so good.
It's so good. Hey, technically, you were talking about another voice. That is from Critical Role.
Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer, does a great Luke.
True. He does do a great Luke. I'm more than happy to give him that role, even though he gets like all of the roles. But it's I'm happy that he's good at it.
It's really good. Yeah, dude, just like him showing up and rescuing Del, and then just he's just like, why did you help me? He's like, because you asked. You know, like, he's just like, well, what other choice do I have for the rebellion? He's just like, no, choice to be better. Woo! So good, dude.
Top tier Luke, baby. Let's give a round of applause.
That is my Luke Skywalker right there, bro. So good. I went out of my way to find that compass because I love that scene so just because it's a cool prop, but also because I was like, that's what I think of when I think of that compass, is that scene. So good. What is the next one for you?
Man, I really love when he goes to when he goes by himself to face Vader on Endor. And like, he's just bound, and he just seems so sure of himself, not in a cocky way, but just like you can see how much he's grown. And he just says like, I know that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father, and just like that wonderful conversation when Vader turns around like, that name no longer has any meaning for me.
Yes.
And it just feels very powerful because like Luke, somehow in that scene, that's one of the only scenes where someone carries more aura than Vader does.
He's just
like, Luke is just like, man.
Yeah. He just says, then, doesn't he say right after that, he says like, then my father is truly dead. Like he's just so calm and composed, and I say Anakin. I mean, in that moment, there's a lot of Anakin in there, but Vader is he's analyzing Luke's lightsaber, and he's just like, you've constructed a new lightsaber. Your training is indeed now complete. It's just really good. And the fact that, he just gives himself up because he knows what he has to do is just it's not him fighting his way to the Death Star. Of gotta get me on the Death Star. It's him. I'm gonna go turn myself in, and this is what I have to do. Like, I have to turn my father, you know. And he defies all odds by going against what Yoda and Obi-Wan say of like, you have to kill your father.
Yep.
And even in the he has faith not only in the Force but in his father to do the right thing, knowing that he very well may die. Right,
yeah.
that he could be wrong, but he takes that leap of faith. I mean, obviously we're combining two of those scenes, but it's just they're very, very conjunctional and
yeah.
really
I mean,
good.
like when he leaves Leia, like says goodbye to Leia, like just kind of goes off into the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, just like that feeling of just like I have to try. You know, like Luke is such a good character, man. I feel like. Return of the Jedi Luke. Ooh.
So good, dude. Ooh.
Yeah.
I've got some sequel moments that I'd like to mention. I'm going to mention two here actually.
Moments, yeah.
This is going to be a little bit of a hot take because I know people are going to say, "Oh, well, it undid what they did in The Last Jedi." But I do kind of like it. I feel like it's a very Luke thing. It's kind of it is when his Force ghost shows up in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. And he And kind of in a joking way, he catches the lightsaber and he's just like, "Is that any way to treat a Jedi's weapon?" You know, kind of in his cocky way. But more importantly, in that scene is when he's consoling Rey, and one of my favorite lines in Star Wars is when he says, "Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi." You know, and then. Of course, he lifts the X-wing out of the. And listen, is it fan service? Yes, but I am a fan, and I was service. Okay, because if there is one scene that never fails to make me just sob, and I know you feel similarly. There's a vivid memory of this specifically that I can think of. It is in Empire Strikes Back when Yoda lifts the X-wing. There is something so magical about Yoda's theme, about Yoda as a character, his demonstration of faith, and he's just like, "I don't believe it." That's why you fail. That's a Yoda moment right there. But like, I remember.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say it, because I was like, well, that's more of a Yoda moment.
Yeah, but like, still, I remember one time it was in my freshman year of college, and I sent you a screenshot. I was studying, and I was listening to Star Wars music, and Yoda's theme came on. And I screenshotted it and I sent it to you, and you were like, "No way!" And you sent a screenshot back, and you were listening to it at the exact same time.
Oh my god, I remember that. Sometimes we just have this moment where like we're just on the same wavelength. Yeah. And it's like it's so weird. I mean, it literally just happened when I was like, I know what he's thinking.
Yeah, dude.
I know what scene he's about to say. And John Williams' score just like really sealed the deal with that scene. Yoda lifting the X-wing was just like such an inspirational scene for me as a kid.
I've got the Dagobah stuff on my shirt right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Empire Strikes Back, man. My second sequel moment, I'm lumping it in here because technically there is part of me in my head. Actually, I do know there is a canon reason when this is said. However, it's not said in any of the movies. It is said in a trailer, and that is it is the second teaser that was ever released for The Force Awakens. And you will probably remember it quite well. It is the opening, and it is flashing through various scenes, but the very first scene, it's playing the Force theme. Yep. And you see the speeder going across the plains, the desert of Jakku, and you see the crushed Star Destroyer. And it's him saying what he said to Leia in Return of the Jedi. He's just like, "The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. You have that power too." It's just, and I always wondered, I was like, was that just ripped from Return of the Jedi? But no, in Return of the Jedi, he says, "The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. You have that power too." But then he says, "My sister has it." I am choosing to now. At the time, we weren't sure like what is that going to be in the movie. Of course, Luke is barely in the movie. He does not even say a line.
Yeah.
My headcanon is that is what he said to Ben at the right age.
That's really
like,
good.
Like, I think if Ben was maybe around, maybe 5 or 6, and Leia's like, he's getting to the age where like he needs to be trained.
Yeah.
And so Luke tells him like, and of course Ben is probably aware that he has these powers, but little Ben, and he's just like, and I just imagine him sitting on a rock or sitting in the Falcon with his nephew saying those things, you have that power too. Yeah. Of course, in that moment, it's being referential, and there is a part of me that would love to believe that somehow, one way or the other, he would say that to Rey, but really, there's not really a way to do that because she discovers her powers pretty early on.
Yeah.
But it's just, I love Luke Skywalker, man. So that is not really a moment that we really see. It's a moment that we hear in a trailer, but yeah.
I'll give a sequel moment to supplement that.
Yeah.
When right before he faces down the walkers and says goodbye to Leia, pretty much, and Leia's like, I know my son is gone, and Luke just says, no one's ever really gone.
Yeah, dude.
And then he kisses her forehead. It's so sad. It's so sad.
Dude, a pretty now we're just talking about like the best of Luke moments, but I mean, that entire sequence of him force projecting, and then of course the sheer strength of the force that it requires, and the second son comes into play as he's clawing his way on the rock, and I mean, of course, we haven't even talked about the binary sunset moment. Like,
I mean that's like obligatory, pretty much. Like, that's. We got to be more interesting here,
Yeah, like that is even maybe not as much of a Luke character moment, but of just like a Star Wars moment in general.
It's just a classic Tatooine moment.
Yeah, it's just awesome. But I just, despite my problems with The Last Jedi, I just that moment right there for me, it just it hits, man. Would I have preferred maybe the way he dies to be a little bit more bombastic and a little bit more earned, I would say. Like, not that I say that it's not earned, but I wish it was a little more earned. But it's still, no matter what, I'm like, man, what a way to go out,
Yeah, I do. I honestly feel like maybe we should save this conversation for our Last Jedi retrospective, like when we get to it. But I'll just say that it feels bombastic enough, at least now, because you and I's opinions on this movie have changed a lot over time. It feels bombastic enough to me because he re-solidifies himself as a legend, and I do really love that. I
think for me, I wish we maybe had just a little bit more time with Luke. Like, I think the way it happened and how it happened, I just wish we would have had a little bit more time with him in that form. Like, almost like if it had happened in Rise of Skywalker or something, like, obviously, like, it wouldn't have really made sense because then everyone would have just died. But
I'm laughing to myself now because I'm imagining like Kylo Ren from his perspective. Like, we never see that explained to him, and so when Luke just vanishes, I bet Kylo's like, what just happened? Like, what? Because like, I can't say that he is just completely unbeknownst to the powers of force projection, right? But I'm just imagining he's like, I do not know what just happened, guys. Like,
do you know that meme? It's an edited meme of Joe Rogan from his podcast, and it's like there's like an empty seat, and then an alien appears in front of him, and he's just like, I just imagine it's the inverse of that, where like Luke just goes, "See you around, kid," and Kylo's like,
I gotta make an edit of that where I just put Joe Rogan in a wig and I just like have him there.
It's just like a still frame of Kylo's face when he's yelling, but he's just like,
that's so perfect.
I mean, we have to mention I think this might be the last moment we mention before we can decide our individual favorites, but Mando season 2 finale. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's that again. It's just obligatory. Like, it's
Luke, very, very great.
It like So there's a couple of things that I will very frequently, I will go online and I will watch reactions to.
Oh yeah, I do that.
And
too.
like No Way Home, when Andrew shows up and when all of the Spider-Man land, like that is something that like I will go and watch theater reactions just to like re-immerse myself in that moment. Luke and seeing him show up, like I made a reel months and months ago of watching that with my dad and just seeing how giddy he was, you know, to see that everyone's just childhood hero come back and he is just in his bag, dude. Like, I mean, you mentioned aura, like in terms of like compared to Vader. Luke in that, bro, the full hood, just slicing up dark troopers and everything. And then he just walks in fully, oh my, dude, Moff Gideon looks out the window and he's just like he knows who that is, dude. Like, he knows that is the last self-proclaimed Jedi in the galaxy who walked out of the. Oh my gosh, man! Like, Moff Gideon tries to shoot himself, dude. Oh
my god, I can't believe I forgot about that. Imagine like Luke having so much aura that Moff Gideon is like. I gotta tap out. You know,
like he tries to kill Grogu and to stop this stuff, and he's just like, well. Like, of course, Cara Dune just like whacks him across the head, but like, man, it's just, and then, you know, despite like what your thoughts on the CG and stuff, just like the way Luke acts of Din asking, he's just like, are you a Jedi? And he goes, I am. Like, it's so good, dude.
To add on to that, you know, despite the CG and whatnot, his appearance in Book of Boba Fett, when he's running around with Grogu, I don't know why, but the scene of just him like running through the forest and going through the trees, accompanied by the musical track, and then also as he's walking and just like lightly force pushing, like lifting Grogu up into the air to kind of like lift him up and down again.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. I just thought that was really sweet. So
that's why we need a show set at that time period.
That's animated. Why he's the goat. The goat. Yeah.
Listen, like I know a lot of people like, you know, I think it would be more assumed from our age that like, you know, and we do, that we would like that Anakin and Obi-Wan, like Obi-Wan is your favorite, but like that Anakin and Obi-Wan would surpass Luke for us, and maybe Obi-Wan does for you, obviously as a total character, but like even growing up with the prequels, Luke was my guy. Like Luke was the character that I like, because we always talk about it, like Star Wars was just kind of like there. Like there was never really felt like there was an entry point. It was just kind of like we were born and then Star Wars, you know?
well, you and I have this lucky thing where Star Wars has existed throughout our entire lives and before it. Mm-hmm. And so we don't know what life is like without Star Wars technically. Yeah. At the very least, its effects on contemporary culture. So yeah, well, it has always been, as you say, it's always been there, because I don't really remember when I was introduced to it. I just remember that I was watching it, you know? It was just like, I've always loved Star Wars, you know?
And for us, like, I think similar to you, the OT and the prequel trilogy were just kind of like, the prequels were coming out, and that was in full force for marketing. Yeah. But like, even when you would go to the toy store, and there would be toys for prequel stuff, there would also be toys for original trilogy stuff. Like there would be Vaders, and there would be Lukes and Hans and Chewbacca's. Like it wasn't just like only prequel toys. And so it was like the OT and the prequel trilogy were just like, we just kind of consumed them simultaneously, you know? Yeah.
I mean, you begin to form autonomous consciousness by like the age of 4, I would say. And so like I was 5 years old when Revenge of the Sith came out.
Yep.
And so like for me and for you as well, like it wasn't the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, it was just Star Wars.
Just Star Wars.
You know? And so I was like, oh yeah, I love 4 and 5 and 6, and I love 1, 2, and 3. I love all this stuff. And I don't remember like The only delineation of the two was what the Complete Saga told me, which was just like that they were like different trilogies, I guess.
Right.
But to me, I didn't see them as different entities because I was introduced to both of them at the same time. And so it was all just one big Star Wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there is probably a large generation where kids are just like, yes, like with the sequels and with the TV shows and stuff, like Rebels, Clone Wars, it's just all Star Wars, man. Like they don't view it as, they don't put it in, I mean, of course, like that's how we identify it when we're talking about just them as projects, but like realistically, it's just all Star Wars, man, you know?
Man, you and I'm gonna be honest, you and I kind of had it lucky.
Yeah.
Because we only had to watch 6 movies to catch up. But like a kid born today to get introduced to Star Wars, you have got so much to get into. It's like it's not like Warhammer 40K level, but
it's still a lot.
You've got a lot and substantially more discourse, I would say, at least in forms of like how much stuff there is to argue about.
So I want to shout out some, they may be listening, I don't know, I'm not going to say their name, but it was a very, before we choose our final Luke moments and wrap up the episode, I went to Barnes & Noble right after the day after Christmas, and they had a sale going on. And so naturally, every time I go to Barnes & Noble, I always go to the Star Wars book section because I always want to see, what could I get, you know, because of course I've been into a lot of reading the Star Wars books, and that's just been a big joy of mine. And so I went there, and there was a young man, and I think he said he was about 15 or 16, and I spoke with him, and he was just a pleasant guy to talk to, and he was looking through the books, and he started talking. So I started talking about my tabletop campaign that I'm running, and a certain character that I want to include or that will be included. And he was like, "Oh, what game are you talking about?" I was talking to my friend that I was with, and I was like, "Oh, well, it's not a video game; it's a tabletop game. It's kind of like D&D, if you know what that is. It's just for Star Wars." He's like, "Oh, okay." So my other friend went away, and then we started talking. He's looking through all the books and stuff, and I'm recommending him. I was like, "Have you read Plagueis?" You know, and he was just like, "I've not." He's like, "But I hear it's really good." And I was like, "Dude, you got to read Plagueis." Like, so he's seen all the movies. He was telling me that when he goes to college, that's when he's going to watch all of Clone Wars. Because in my head, when I think of a young person, a lot of the young people that I know, they've watched all of Clone Wars, and I was like, "Oh, this guy." He's seen like the first 2 seasons of Rebels. Like Rebels was coming out when he was like a kid, like a little kid, and because he's 15. So you do the math there, he was 5 when Force Awakens came out. Like, and so, ways to make you feel old. And so like Rebels was coming out when he was like 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, just like, it's like the Last Crusade, just, like the aging.
I laughed so much just there because I'm imagining someone's listening to audio and you just cracked up for no reason, when in reality in video, like I was doing like a really old man face.
Just for context, guys. But then he told me, like, he was like looking through some of he told me he read Heir to the Empire. And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Like, yeah, I just finished it up myself. And then I was asking him like some of his favorite movies. He told me that he got The Force Unleashed for Christmas. And he got some Star Wars books, and then he got The Force Unleashed on Switch for Christmas. And I was just like, "Oh, have you ever played it?" And he's like, "No, I haven't." And I was like, "But I did the math there. Dude, if he's 15, he wasn't born when Force Unleashed came out." And I was like, "Oh, well, that game came out when I was 9. When I was 9 years old, I got it for Christmas." And he was just like, "Yeah, I wasn't even born yet." And I was like, "What?" But all that to say, he was very pleasant to talk to. He did not put Legends and canon in like these separate things. He just wanted to consume more Star Wars stuff. He told me that he's got some problems with the sequels, but like his favorite was Rise of Skywalker. And I was like, "Really?" And he was just like,
that?
yeah, like that, and I was like, that's awesome, dude. I'm like, I love that. Like that's your favorite. I'm like, I enjoy a lot about that movie. I'm like, I've got some problems with it, but I'm like, that's super cool. He's just like, yeah, like I don't know, I just thought they did a lot of cool different things in that. Like I know there's some, like I know that's a hot take or whatever. I was like, dude, I was like, you don't have to worry about hot takes around me. Like I am someone that I am very receptive to. Like if you, we were talking about it, and I was talking about the discourse and everything, and I was like, there's a lot of people out there that just, when you say something like that, they immediately come after you. And he's just like, yeah, he's like, that's stupid. He's like, we all can enjoy what we want to enjoy. Like, and we can all, and I was just like,
I like Lando. I like this kid.
yeah. I felt like Peter V. Parker was just like, I am so proud. Do I want kids? Like,
yeah.
But I gave him a handshake, and I showed him the podcast.
Oh, he got a Grayson handshake.
I went,
oh man.
He gave me a firm handshake. I had to get over to Cracker Barrel. Cole was like, activated.
I love Cracker Barrel, y'all. This isn't even a sponsor. I really like the food.
One day we should do an episode in a Cracker Barrel.
What's
when
going
you come
on,
to
guys?
visit, we should ask them, like, can we record an episode while we eat our Cracker Barrel?
You know how obnoxious that's gonna be? Honestly,
I can just edit around it.
Yeah.
I bring a camera. We just have our phones, and there's just like a 10-minute section where we're just not talking.
Yeah, we sit. Oh my god, we sit by the wall, and like it's just looking at us. The entire episode is just us eating, and like us just talk. We're not even talking about Star Wars. We're eating. We're talking to each other, and then we get up, we pay the bill, and go, and then the episode's over. It has nothing to do with Star Wars at all.
If people want that, let us know.
I want that. I'm people.
That's good. I am people.
I am people.
Okay, I just went on a whole whirlwind, but what out of all of the Luke moments we mentioned, or the ones we didn't mention, what is your favorite?
I am a Jedi like my father before me. For me, there is no contender. It just, in my eyes, like that is just Luke's best moment.
I agree. That is this. I am right there with you. That is that right there is why I watch Return of the Jedi as often as I do. Like, it's that good, bro. Luke is that guy in that movie.
He is that guy. He's so inspirational for me, which is why I want to do a Luke cosplay.
You gotta.
We'll see it one day.
Also, one last honorable mention is just the entire opening of Return of the Jedi, and Luke's plan to free Han is just sick. The aura. Luke has so much aura throughout that whole movie, man. I mean, that's peak Luke. I would say that extends to like Mando season 2 Luke. Right.
Really just Return of the Jedi onwards, and then just kind of before the fall of his order is just like peak Luke time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, Skeleton Crew is great. Really good. Really good.
Really good, dude. So before we wrap up the episode, so obviously this season was a little scattered for us. I think the past 6 months in general has been a little kind of dicey with our schedule and things. So we are actively trying to find ways to do some newer content that may not be as frequent as an episode every week, but there will be hopefully something from us every week. If you're not following us already, follow us on Instagram. That is going to be the best way to keep up with us. The links to everything are in the description, and so that way, like, I post a lot of reels that are like separate from that sort of stuff. And so if you are not already subscribed and following, please do so if you enjoyed the content.
Yes.
And in the coming months before Andor season 2, which Cole is kind of like the only other Star Wars project this year. So, which is like, not a bad thing, but like
that
also,
we know of. That we know of. Celebrations coming up.
I will put money, because they already have announced Vision season 3. I will put money that will come out May 4th. it will happen.
I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree.
Especially because that is right after Japan Celebration. Right after.
Yeah.
I think we will get a trailer and they will say May 4th, just like Tales of the Empire. Ow,
that was
my hand.
Dude, Tales of the Empire really did just come out of nowhere. I was so happy to see it too.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but like, it really did. It was just like, here
They gave me Grievous in final stage Clone Wars animation, and that's what I'm there for. So
pretty epic. And I'm sure, of course, we will definitely do some content on like the announcements from Celebration, because there will be a lot of that. Yeah. But we've teed up some other stuff. Like we want to do some more gaming content and things. We've got some ideas for that. I do think since there will be a little bit lesser, visual media coming out, that the Old Republic is something that we will very much dive into as an ongoing series. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But before Andor Season 2, we definitely are planning on doing a retrospective of Season 1. We have talked at length at how much we like Season 1. I have not watched it since it came out. Yeah, you are the Andor pilled one. And so we're going to do a retrospective on Andor Season 1 before Season 2. And we've got a couple of other ideas for episodes. And just other videos in general. So keep tabs. We are here. We are waiting. What? Do you have any other final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
I hope that
happened,
everybody's.
I guess.
yeah, that did happen. I hope everybody's doing well. And make this be sure to make this year a good one. I think the last thing that I will say though, Grayson, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Yarr.